Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, having a conversation with Ian Hamilton. He is the CEO of the Hamilton Oshawa Port Authority. We were talking about educating, getting training, proper training for marine activities. Any other thoughts on how to proceed on that, Ian?
Again, if there are young people listening and trying to think of what they might want to do with their careers, it is a wonderful. They're good paying jobs, quite exciting. You certainly get to travel a fair bit, and I know that some of our key carriers like Canada Steamship Lines and Algoma, Mikio Marine, all have wonderful programs to introduce you and allow you to apprentice to become a mariner. And you're certainly making a pretty solid contribution to what Canada needs, and that's robust supply chains.
Fantastic. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'd love to, in the couple of minutes we've got left, talk a little bit about future trends. What do you think that looks like in your capacity as CEO of the Port Authority?
Yeah, I think one of the trends, and we've touched on it a few times in the last few minutes, but certainly the movement towards sustainability and doing everything we can to try to reduce the footprint our supply chains have on our environment. We're working very hard with the various different parties, and the ship owners are trying to again transition into greener fuels. And try to right now we're using some of the vessels are experimenting with biodiesel. Certainly, methanol is looked at as a future fuel, but also we're looking at what can we do with batteries, what can we do with shore power. So what happens today is when quite often when a vessel comes into a port, it runs on their marine diesel generators, and we believe if we can plug them into the grid, then that'll allow them to turn those off and take advantage of some of the green power. So that's certainly one of the big trends is around that sustainability issue. And I think again the profile of even just moving one truckload into onto marine is going to have such a positive impact when you start to see the scale and what's actually possible with each vessel holding 985 trucks. You can see how quickly you can have an impact on reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
No, 100%. So let's talk a little bit about, again, your expectations from federal and provincial governments. What do you need them to do to realize this vision?
Yeah, and I think they are starting to realize it, but again, from your experience, you'll understand quite often policy and strategy doesn't keep up with regulation. So I think what we need to do is really make sure we've got the right set of the regulatory environment that allows us to really take advantage of what marine can offer. I think that some form of incentive that recognizes the value of moving more cargo by marine, so that customers can re-engineer their supply chains, and we can help them a little bit with that sort of those upfront costs. I think those are, and then the other piece that we talked about is infrastructure and
Right.
ensuring that the right infrastructure is in place, that we don't and there's always this temptation to build condos next to ports and things like that, but it's quite difficult. And I get it, but it's still we need to make sure that these significant employment zones and are really kept protected. Otherwise, it's going to be such a challenge to get our goods in and out of the markets.
Right, right. You mentioned Quebec earlier, I guess Port of Montreal, and maybe some other ports too. Is there anything else we can learn from Quebec or other jurisdictions?
Well, one thing is Quebec does have an incentive program in
Mhm.
place that recognizes if you're able to again re-engineer your supply chain and use marine to reduce your footprint, then we can convert cargo from ground transportation to marine transportation and take advantage of all of the social and environmental benefits. I think that's certainly one area. I think Quebec is even though Canada does have a or Ontario has a rich maritime history, I don't think we appreciate it as much. And
Right.
you go to Quebec, I feel like it's more celebrated. And certainly, I think that the more we understand of how important these marine is to our economy and marine is to Ontario manufacturing, then I think the more again the more exposure and the more attention that it will get to support these programs.
Are you optimistic about the future?
I'm a born optimist, but I have to say, in the 15 years since I've been with the Port Authority, I feel that we've got a bit of a perfect storm going on now with a focus on environment, the looking for more sustainable, robust supply chains, and also the challenges we're having around congestion. So I truly believe the time is right for marine.
Ian Hamilton, thanks for joining us today. Very interesting discussion. I wish you well with your work with the Port Authority.
Hey, well, thank you very much for having me.
That was Ian Hamilton of the Hamilton Oshawa Port Authority. Really interesting to see how they fit in to our supply chain needs and requirements for the future as well. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching.